So this is view A, which of course has the rounded neck. And only change we made on this, see, the only change we made on this was to lengthen this front piece. That's all we did. And I'll show you how, because you don't.
Whoops, sorry guys.
We did not just short. We did not use the short and lengthen line. We used a different method. So I want to show you that. So, anyways, that would be view one, but we brought it down about 5 inches to really cover the belly area because that was the problem for a lot of people. There wasn't enough coverage. All right, so this one is so far turns out to be one of our favorites. Now, this one is actually started out with view B, which has a V neck, but I changed the neckline. I'll show you how to do that. And we made this much longer on both the right and the left side. So you get much longer down here, which really gives you that really nice asymmetrical and elongating look. And then the orchid over here is the view C. And so it has this really interesting asymmetrical neckline. And we added the triangle. The triangle in the pattern is only for A and B. But I'm going to show you how to adapt the C to add the triangle again to get a fuller and lower front. All right, so
Then what about the one you're wearing?
the one I'm wearing is the View C, just with the triangle. All right. What you'll need to make these pattern changes is some type of paper, pattern paper. It could be paper that you cut away when you cut the pattern out. It can be the dotted paper that we have available on our website. It can be just plain white paper, anything so that you can make this addition. Now, what I like to do when I'm adding on to a pattern is to create the grain line on the new extension so that I know I keep everything in line. So we've got a grain line here and a grain line here. So I make sure those are nice. And so I can just keep everything straight. Now, I'm going to use removable tape by Scotch. And the reason I love this tape as opposed to just your basic Scotch tape, there's two reasons. One is I can take it off. So if I've made an error, or I want to change something, I can just peel it right off, no problem. The other reason is when you take regular Scotch tape and you go to tape down a pattern like this, the electricity from that tape pulls the paper up and it's very difficult to get a smooth contact. You end up wrinkling your pattern, which you don't want to do. So I like to cover the entire raw edge of the pattern with the tape. Some people will, especially, when you're doing those tiled patterns, oh, I don't want to waste all that tape and I'll just tape it every few inches. Well, here's what happens. When you go to use that pattern, especially if you use it more than once or twice, and you fold it up, now those little edges that aren't taped down get caught on things. It just makes a terrible mess. And then you wish you hadn't done that. So what I'm going to do is tape it from the back as well. So I want a pattern to last. I am going to tape it from both sides because again, as it's folded, this gets caught. It can rip it. It can just bugger it up something terrible. So we don't want that. So just make sure you get that all covered really well. And I could not have done this with regular Scotch tape this fast. I had to be very, very slow because that electricity just made a mess. All right, so now we're ready to add our extension. So for the ones that I am showing you, the examples, we have lengthened the right side of the front 5 inches. So I'm going to just come down this line right here, and I'm going to measure 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I want to stop. And then I'm going to connect this 5 inches here all the way to blend it down to this very point. So I need a really long ruler, which I am lucky to have here. And you want to blend it right into that point. And then you just cut it out. And now you've got your straight grain all the way to the end. I don't know if you've noticed, but with my patterns, you'll notice my grain lines go almost the full length of the pattern whenever they can. And that's because if I'm only measuring in one area, I might find later that this got a little tweaked. So I want to be able to measure from end to end and have it exactly the same. And then there's no doubt that it's right. So this is the view A, and that's all you have to do. Now there's one other piece to view A, which is the triangle. Okay, the triangle sews to the right side of the front. You'll see there's a dot here. So we're going to match up our dots. And in this example, I'm making an extra large. Okay, so there's our dot. And this is how it's going to be sewn to the pattern, approximately. There's a little bit of a curve there, so it's not exact. But here's what I want you to notice. Here is your notch. This says front notch, and this hem is 3/8. Once this hem is folded up, this notch should land right at the fold of that hem. So now we know that this is how long of an extension would hang from our shirt past the hem. But we've added this much, 5 inches. So let's move that notch down here 5 inches. Now we know this is where the hem is, and this is going to be the amount of our extension if we don't do anything about it. And that is only like 1 3/4. So you're going to want to lengthen the triangle, but you're going to want to lengthen it so that it is at least 4.5, 5, or even better, longer than when it's hem. Now, how you do that is you're only going to lengthen the front because we're making the front longer, but we're not making the back longer. So the back has to stay here because this meets the back hem exactly on the side. So this we don't want longer, this we want longer. So all you have to do is extend it the length you want. I'm thinking this is kind of short. I might even go another couple inches. Then when you draw out, you want to match this little notch in the corner down here. Okay, that's because if you haven't made this yet, that sets you up for a really nice clean corner when you fold and hem that. Okay, so that's how you make the triangle longer. And again, remember, you can bring that down even longer. Just do not lengthen the back of the triangle. All right, so then let's talk about the next one. And are you view B for this one? And this is longer both on the right and the left. Remember, it's a print, and this extends even longer down to close to the knee or maybe below the knee, depending on your height. So what I did was the same as I did before, extend this 5, but I came over here and extended this one 3. And make sure you duplicate this, the bottom here, this little edge, the same length and the same angle. And then you just connect from here to where you extended it 5 inches. Just a little bit more fabric. And let me tell you that in this case, you might want to add a little, like a half yard extra yardage. in the previous one where we only extended one side, you probably don't need to extend. I didn't need to. I still got it out of the same yardage. All right, so then view C. Now that, oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot to show you how to do the neckline. Okay, so we want a curved neckline on here. We just want to change it up. We don't want the one that came with the pattern and we don't want the V. We want something different. So you're going to fold the pattern piece on center front after you've taped a piece of paper in here. All right, so we're going to fold this right on center front. And then you're going to draw in your neckline or 50% of your neckline. I use my handy dandy ruler, curved ruler here. I want just a little bit of a straight area right here. So I did that by hand. This will be my neckline. So now all I have to do is cut this out. And when you open it up, you have a perfectly symmetrical neckline. If you try to draw from here and around and back up here, chances are you're not going to have a symmetrical neckline. So always fold it in half and then cut it, and you'll have it completely symmetrical. Can't be anything else. Okay, so that's how you change the neckline. And of course, you can change the neckline in any version that you like. I'm looking forward to seeing the different versions you all come up with. As we did them here in our studio, our minds were just racing with all the other possibilities. We just couldn't make them all. All right. So in view C and view A and B have the same side seam with one exception. View C kind of tips out right here. And that's what you want it to do if you're not putting a triangle on. But we decided we want the triangle. So we've just folded back that little extra. You can retrace this and cut it off. You can do it any way you want. And then we've transferred the dot that matches to the triangle over onto view C so that you'll know where to put that triangle, right? And then it's the same as view A, 5 inches down, come over and meet up without changing the length or shape of this corner. All right. Now, I want to show you one more thing. And just in case we haven't covered this, we are not lengthening the back in these versions at all. The back, I don't feel needs to be lengthened, but again, you might be a lot longer in the torso than I am, and you may need a couple extra inches. You'll be the decider on that. All right, so what we have here is the 3/4 inch sleeve. But in some versions, we found that we wanted a longer sleeve. So again, I've drawn that extra grain line and matched it up. I found the center of my sleeve because when you have a long sleeve versus a 3/4 length sleeve, the long sleeve needs to be a lot narrower at the hem than the 3/4 because your arm is narrower at the wrist than it is at the forearm. Okay, so that's got to come down. So I knew that I wanted 8 1/4. That's the width I wanted mine to be. So now that's the pattern, not finished. 8 1/4. So I measured 4 1/8 on each side, and that's how I came up with the width of the sleeve. Now we have to add the hem, and we want a 3/8 inch hem. So I'm just going to add my hem here. And then you're going to fold on no. Well, we're going to cut that out. Sorry. We're going to cut this out. Then we're going to fold. All right, so you're going to fold it on the finished length. So you fold the hem up. Now this is before we cut it out. And if you don't know why, you're going to know in just 1 second. So we're just going to cut it out. Now, when we unfold this, we're going to have exactly the right width of hem because, let me turn this over and show you, because it was folded up there. We have to have this width to fold that hem up to, right? So by folding it up and then cutting it, we didn't have to measure a thing. Just cut it and we know it's exact. So that's the way that's done. So now you have a longer sleeve. How much longer? That's up to you. You're going to have to do some measurement. I don't have particularly long arms. I know Brenda, she has to go a couple inches longer than I do. So it's a very arbitrary number when it comes to sleeve length. You have to do that. But that is the adjustments that you need to make. But I have one suggestion, and that is, we love to make the muslin. And the first time you can make a muslin out of the fabric that you're going to end up with. So let's say I made this shirt, but I don't know exactly how long I want it. So maybe I cut it 7 inches longer instead of 5. And I just baste it together. And then I play with it on my body and I fold up the hem and I say, okay, no, 7 was too much, but 5's not enough, so I'll go 6. Then I go back to the drawing board and trim off what I didn't need and sew up my pattern, and now I know it's going to look great. So you have a finished garment that started out as a muslin kind of without wasting any time or fabric. So I think that's really the way to go, to figure out exactly how you think it looks best on your body. So I hope you enjoy these changes, and please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you or support you in your sewing.